Ahead on NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
What's the outlook for the cattle markets this year? We'll have some insight, plus a preview of the 2014 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA trade show in Nashville. That and much more coming up.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. Leading our news this week, agriculture is paying a price because of the continued political gridlock in Washington, D.C. That's the view of one ag policy analyst who says 2014 is an election year and the slow pace on a number of policy fronts, from immigration to trade, may in fact continue. We asked Roger Bernard, a policy analyst with Informa Economics, for his insight on what cattlemen should be watching for on the policy front in 2014.
What producers need to focus on as they look at the world of Washington is, one, that this Congress and this administration have not shown a great ability to work together. That does not appear to be changing anytime soon. And as we move here into 2014, the issues that are going to be confronting the U.S. cattle industry are probably going to percolate for a while. The 2014 elections are going to start looming larger and larger as the year goes on. And those, all indications are that political experts, such as the Cook Political Report, don't really see much change in the makeup of the United States House of Representatives. Maybe just a few seats, single digits, in either direction for either Democrats or Republicans in terms of gains or losses. Now, on the Senate side, the Republicans have their eyes on regaining control of that chamber, but the odds are still pretty high that they may not be able to capture enough seats in order to do that. If that's not the case, that means our dysfunctional ways of Washington are going to continue. Now, the battles that have gone on between this administration and this Congress have thrown U.S. farm policy into sort of a lurch. They've thrown trade issues into a lurch. It just caused a lot of disruption that maybe hasn't percolated its way all the way down through to the grassroots, but it's definitely affected things that the U.S. cattle industry and U.S. agriculture as a whole would like to see happen.
To stay current on all the key policy issues that NCBA is working on every day in Washington, why not become an NCBA member? To find out more, call 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit the website beefusa.org. While you're there, NCBA members can visit the PAC auction page to view and bid on a wide variety of vacation travel and merchandise. You must be a member to contribute to NCBA PAC, so don't wait. Join today. The cattle markets finished strong in 2013 and are off to an outstanding start so far this year. Joining us to tell us more about those markets is Mike Murphy. He's an analyst with CattleFax. Mike, I'm looking forward to convention, and always the CattleFax Outlook session is actually one of the most popularly attended sessions at the convention. What can participants expect this year?
Well, we got a great lineup of speakers. Dr. Art Douglas will talk about the weather situation, see what the transition is towards El Nino. Brett Stewart will talk about the global beef market. China's became a major player in the global beef market, so he'll have a lot of data and analysis on how China's influencing things around the world. I'll talk about feed, grain, and energy prices. Kevin Good will give us a market outlook, and then Randy Block will give us a little bit longer-term vision of where we are in terms of expansion, what we look at in here towards 2020.
I'm anxious to hear you all speak that day. Now, let's talk cow-calf producers for just a moment. We ended the year incredibly strong, and the first couple of weeks of this year, it looks like these feeder calf prices are staying high. What's the outlook for cow-calf producers?
It's great for the cow-calf sector. Obviously, there's still some regions of the country, like the western part of the region, that's dry, but in terms of outside of Mother Nature's concerns, it's a strong market. We're looking at record high calf values at this point in time into the spring, and as we look to wean calves this fall of 2014, we'll have record high calf prices at that time as well.
It's good news for them. Let's talk feed yards for just a minute. There's a lot of feed yards lost a lot of money the last couple of years. What do you see for them on the horizon?
It's been a huge equity drain, but it's great right now. We're looking at record high fed cattle prices in the low 140s, and think about 130 was the resistance before. A lot of cattle feeders somewhere in the profitability of $100, $150 a head. So it'll take some time to gain all that equity drain back, but they're well on their way.
Talk to us about grain and forage prices. They've certainly decreased from the elevated levels of a year ago, but not back to historic lows, clearly. What do you see on the horizon there?
Yeah, as we look at things here through the first half of the year, stocks-to-use levels on the corn supply is a lot better than what it had been the past couple of years. Corn prices, for the most part, will be trading between $4 and $4.50 a bushel on average. And then if Mother Nature cooperates, we're going to have a lot cheaper prices into the fall. And that's obviously a huge influence on hay prices. We're going to see hay prices as we get into the spring and summer somewhere between $150 to maybe $200 a ton cheaper than where they would have been a year ago.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. So pull all this together for us, Mike, and we hear and I read a lot about cow herd expansion. Is it going to happen, or what's your sense?
Yes, we believe it is. Mother Nature has been our restrictor over the last few years. We've had the economic incentive to go ahead and expand. We do believe that this year we're going to be really ripe to expand, and we should see a huge expansion over the course of the next couple of years, barring something from Mother Nature. But we're set up for it, and I think the cow-calf sector is ready to see some expansion as well.
Well, thanks for providing a little sneak preview to this session in Nashville. We'll look forward to seeing you there.
You bet. Thanks, Kevin.
A reminder, the CattleFax Outlook Seminar is open to all who attend the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. It's coming up in Nashville, Tennessee, February 4th through the 7th. Now, it's not too late to make plans to be there yourself, and you can register on site as well. Just log on to beefusa.org for more information. Still ahead on NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We ride through the cattle every day looking for the respiratories, and when we pull, our first line of defense now is we use the Zuprevo.
We'll see how one feed yard battles BRD. Plus, we'll have more on the 2014 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're watching NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen on RFD TV.
If you've been waiting for the right time to get the John Deere gear you've always wanted, then now's the time to get down to the Green Fever sales event. The hottest savings of the year are ready and waiting on compact and utility tractors, hay tools, and select lawn tractors too. Visit your John Deere dealer at johndeere.com/greenfever to learn more about all the great incentives, like 0% financing for 60 months on compact and select utility tractors. While you're online, enter the Big Gear giveaway for a chance to take home your share of $30,000 in John Deere gear.
To ensure your seeds become strong stands, give your soil the right preparation before you plant. Improve your growing environment with agronomically designed equipment from Case IH, like the new Ecolo Tiger 875 disc ripper, engineered to manage tough residues and shatter root-limiting compaction for improved nutrient uptake and better stands with more fully developed plants at harvest. The world of farming is changing. Will you be ready? Learn more at caseih.com.
Here's what producers are saying about Progressive Cattlemen Magazine, the beef industry resource.
Progressive Cattlemen Magazine we find is very practical.
Progressive Cattlemen does a good job of making sure that their articles relate to the current topics that farmers and ranchers need to deal with.
The magazine I really enjoy receiving. It has a lot of articles in it that are more progressive industry, educational type articles.
Subscribe today at progressivecattle.com.
Welcome back. We're just 2 weeks away from the 116th Annual Cattle Industry Convention set to take place in Nashville, Tennessee. It's the oldest and the largest cattle industry convention, and Texas cattleman Bob McCann, who's serving as president-elect for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, says there's a long list of reasons cattlemen should come to Nashville.
I think we're going to have a great time in Nashville. We've got a really great lineup of entertainment. As I mentioned, the trade show is always first class. There'll be lots of the cutting edge technology there, and our Cattlemen's College always has really good educational components there. And probably my favorite is just being able to have dialogue with the different cattlemen from across the country that are going to be there. Last time we were in Nashville, we had a record crowd, over 8,200 people, and I think we're looking for maybe to beat that a little bit this time. So I think it's going to be a really great opportunity. I very much encourage cattlemen from across the country, please try to make time and come to Nashville. I think there's going to be some lots of fun and lots of good stuff going on.
And joining us now to talk to us more about some of the big events we can expect at this year's convention and trade show in Nashville is Kristen Torres with NCBA. Kristen, it sounds like this year's convention could be one of the biggest ever. Tell us a little bit about it.
That's right. We've got a sold-out trade show. It has 247,000 square feet of exhibit space, plus over 300 exhibiting companies. And we have an outdoor display area as well with another 2 acres of displays out there. So be prepared to walk around the Gaylord.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's talk about these exhibitors. I mean, there's a lot of different exhibitors there. Give folks a sense at what are some of the things they can see and learn about that may help them in their cattle operation.
Sure. We have pretty much everything a cattle producer could need to make their operation run smoothly. We have several large equipment that will be on display. We have companies that are going to be featuring fencing supplies, the latest pharmaceuticals, all the latest products and services that they may need. And then we also have a retail area, if you will, so some folks can do some shopping there on the trade show floor, and our friends from Roper and Stetson are going to have a great big booth there.
That's outstanding. And you also have some special events planned again this year during the actual trade show. Why don't you give a highlight of a few of those?
Sure, absolutely. We have a reception every day in the trade show. So we kick off the trade show with a welcome reception. That's going to be Tennessee themed. And then each day in the afternoon, we have kind of a happy hour in there. We theme those as well. One day we have a fiddles, victuals, and vino wine tasting reception, and then the next day we have a beef, beer, and bourbon reception going on in there. So it's a lot of fun to come by the trade show.
It doesn't get any better than that, does it? But in addition to those fun events, there's also some educational opportunities during the trade show, correct?
Absolutely. We have 2 different educational areas on the show floor. One of them is a demonstration arena where we actually build a small demonstration area on the show floor. We bring in dirt, we bring in live animals, and we do some low-stress cattle handling sessions there. And then the other area is new for the 2014 trade show, and it's called the Learning Lounge. And it's more of a classroom-style setting, but it's going to have all different types of education programs, some offered from some of our exhibitors, experts, and some offered by our own staff, but that'll be right there on the show floor as well.
That does sound like a new highlight. So obviously I'm going to be in Nashville, but what about those people that may be sitting on the fence right now? What would you tell them about coming to this year's convention and trade show in Nashville, Tennessee?
Sure. The convention and the trade show is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for folks. I can't express that enough. We have a great time every day. We have a whole lot of fun. There's education. There's a great lineup of speakers. And nowhere else will you have the opportunity to network with your fellow cattlemen from across the country and see all the latest products and services, equipment, everything you need to run your operation under one roof.
I would agree with that. Now, we're only 2 weeks away, but it's still not too late to register, correct?
That's correct. Registration is still open online on our website, which is beefusa.org. Folks can go there and register ahead of time, or if they'd like, they can just come right down to the Gaylord Opryland Hotel, and they can register right there on site.
Well, Kristen, you have a big task ahead of you to do something even bigger and better than last year, but I know you're up for it, and I'm looking forward to my week in Nashville.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'll be in Nashville. Will you? I sure hope to see you there. And for all you need to know about getting to Nashville, plus full details on registration and the great program coming up at the 2014 Cattle Industry Convention NCBA Trade Show, just visit the website beefusa.org.
New Holland is smart for the way you farm. And New Holland round balers are smart for the way you raise cattle. By focusing on making the densest bale possible, New Holland round balers pack more into each bale, saving you time, fuel, and money. Now that's smart. We can also match your feeding requirements with a variety of bale slicing, cutting, and wrapping options to help maximize your time. Plus, with models designed specifically for silage or specialty crop harvest, New Holland gives you the power to make smart choices to fit your farm or ranch. You work hard to get the most out of every hay season to benefit you and your cattle. From mower conditioners to balers and tractors, New Holland has the right solutions to help you make quality hay and forage for your cattle operation. Visit your New Holland dealer to learn more about the complete lineup of New Holland equipment, in addition to all the benefits available to cattle producers.
Cattlemen today have so many tools they can use to improve their operations and their profitability. The advances have been tremendous in the areas of genomics and genetics. And joining us now in the studio is Dr. Kent Anderson with Zoetis Genetics, and he's here to talk to us more about those advances. First of all, Dr. Anderson, you have always been such a huge sponsor of Cattlemen's College. Why is Cattlemen's College so important to Zoetis and the industry?
Well, Kevin, Zoetis, of course, is committed to providing producers with production solutions that encompass animal health, feed additives, reproductive products, and now also genetics. And those solutions are getting more advanced all the time, and Cattlemen's College provides such a wonderful forum whereby we can help to get the word out about the new solutions and the new technologies to producers, such that they can take advantage of them and help their bottom line.
And you're going to be giving a presentation on genomics, I understand. Give us a little bit of a sneak preview of that presentation.
Well, as you know, Kevin, bull buying is a real heritage of cow-calf producers and seed stock producers, and it's a major event, but it's one part art and one part science. And so we're going to have some fun with that during Cattlemen's College, and we're going to talk about both the art and the science. The art that encompasses all the things that we don't have information for, but then the science side where we have much more dependable information now in the form of genomic enhanced EPDs that really do represent a quantum leap forward in the accuracy and the dependability of the predictions we have on young bulls before they ever have calves.
Yeah, and so tell us just a little bit about some of the latest technology you all are working with as it relates to genomics and genomically enhanced EPDs.
Zoetis is really fortunate to work with a great set of partners. So we work with the American Angus Association and specifically Angus Genetics, Inc. And we've been doing this for several years now. We integrate high-density 50K marker technology. So believe it or not, on this chip, there's 50,000 markers that we can derive for an animal. And with our partners at Angus Genetics, Inc., we blend all that marker information with the time-tested pedigree and performance and progeny data to come up with EPDs with the maximum accuracy possible. Matter of fact, over the 18 traits that are covered by genomic enhanced EPDs right now, it's the equivalent of having anywhere from a half a dozen to more than 20 calves whose records would have traditionally been needed to get the same level of accuracy that we now can achieve with the marker information.
That's powerful technology as you think about the ability to just improve cattle quickly. And now we've been talking a lot about the bull side of the equation. Kent, tell us a little bit about the female side of the equation.
Well, Cattlemen's College is going to be fun because we'll have live animals, both bulls as well as females. And we'll be conducting a learn by doing type workshop again to blend the art and the science, the visual and the new information. And it's my great pleasure to be working with Dr. Jerry Lipsey. Dr. Lipsey's going to talk about the female side of the equation. And we're going to have a good debate about buying bulls versus making your progress through heifer selection. And It should be a fun, informative session with a lot of take-home things that producers can immediately apply to the coming spring 2014 bull buying season, as well as the selection of their replacement heifers during this time when we are in such great need of expanding and rebuilding the current cow inventory in this country.
Sounds like an outstanding session. I hope to be in the front row there.
Well, you're welcome, and we'll be happy to have you.
Again, that's Cattlemen's College, set to take place at the Cattle Industry Convention in Nashville on February 4th. Find out more at beefusa.org. We'll be right back.
Tough trailers built for tough country. Big Ben Trailers manufactures a different kind of trailer, one that's built to put up with the rough conditions found on the ranch. Rugged build using heavy-gauge powder-coated steel and a 2x4 rectangle tube frame. There's a 1-inch gap between the side and floor, so there's no place for water or manure to accumulate and rust. Big Ben trailers are loaded with standard features: a lever-action hitch, a 3-foot escape gate, and a middle sorting gate, rhino lining along the front edges, and a receiver hitch to tow another trailer, chute, or other equipment. Tough and practical. That's Big Ben Trailers, designed and built by a working cattleman. You can rely on and trust Big Ben Trailers for their durability and convenient features. Reasonably priced for any rancher to afford. For a list of dealers and other design features, visit BigBenTrailers.com. Big Ben Trailers, built cattlemen tough.
America's cattlemen are turning to Beef Today as their source for news and information about the beef industry. Whether it's magazine or radio, television or digital issue, internet or text messaging, Beef Today delivers the information you need when you need it and in the form that's most convenient for you. Powered by the news gathering organizations of Farm Journal, AgWeb.com, AgriTalk, and AgDay TV, Beef Today delivers daily news and market information to boost your success in the beef industry.
Welcome back. Bovine respiratory disease, or BRD, is among the most costly health problems in the cattle feeding industry. The cost of treating BRD in cattle is a significant concern for cattle feeders like the Vogels, a family that's been feeding cattle in Montana for more than 3 generations. The Vogels understand firsthand the importance of managing this costly disease. Cattleman and Cattleman reporter Matt Fleck has more.
My grandfather, he started feeding cattle back in the 1950s, was one of the first feedlots in the Yellowstone Valley to feed cattle year-round. And then over the decades, my grandpa, father, and uncle have built on at added capacity. Currently, we're about 6,500 head capacity. In the fall, we usually feed a few thousand head of yearlings and then start getting some calves in, and then as they go out in December through February, we'll bring in more calves and feed them through the summer.
The Vogels take pride in their work, and they recognize the advantage of feeding high-quality animals. And although they source many cattle from nearby ranches, they also purchase loads of cattle from sale barns across the region.
When the cattle come in, the cattle are taken processed as soon as possible, and as we get them worked, we do buy quality cattle and make sure that the health is taken care of as soon as possible, and they're vaccinated shortly after arrival, and then the cattle are checked in the pens on a daily basis and make sure that the health stays good on the cattle. The vaccination part of the program is very important.
Prevention and rapid treatment of BRD is critical for cattle feeders like the Vogels.
Controlling BRD is a difficult problem, as everybody knows, in the feedlot industry and the cattle industry as a whole. It's our #1 health issue, and primarily because we have so many different backgrounds that cattle come from and the way they're prepared to come to a feed yard. So it takes a management strategy primarily on receiving cattle that's flexible, trying to find out as much about the cattle and their prior history so that they know whether they need to repeat vaccinations, whether they've had any vaccinations before, whether or not they've been weaned, all these kind of factors that play into their immune status.
BRD is caused by stress associated with shipping and the spread of bacterial and viral pathogens between commingled cattle. As a result, identifying the symptoms of BRD and treating outbreaks quickly are critical.
The control of BRD at the feed yard level is aimed at number one, prevention, and number two, at treatment. And so cattle especially that are evaluated as being high risk, that is, they've been hauled a long way, they've been commingled through livestock marketing channels, bad weather, just been weaned, all those kind of things put cattle at higher risk. And so those cattle very often are treated metaphylactically with usually a long-acting antibiotic like Zuprevo to help limit the amount of sickness that they're going to initially see. Following that, then it's a matter of having the management system in place with pen riders to be going through cattle often enough to be able to spot them at the first signs of respiratory disease, get those cattle pulled and treated appropriately.
Well, the signs to look for to find the BRD in your cattle. Look for, their heads down, the droopy ears, snotty noses. They'll have sometimes they'll be kind of drooly, having fluid from the lungs coming back up. When they first arrive, a lot of times you can really tell if you've got the calf standing at the back of the pen and everybody else has come up to the feed bunk. That's a real good sign. Look for cattle that are a little lethargic.
Cow-calf producers can help reduce the prevalence of BRD outbreaks by weaning and preconditioning calves prior to sale. Although the Vogels attempt to source cattle of known origin, it's not always possible. Dan Vogel knows from experience that certain classes of cattle come with animal health risks.
You take ranch calves that come in walking and bawling that have not been pre-vaccinated, we'll treat right around 15 to 20% of those cattle. You take yard cattle that come in that have been exposed to everything, those cattle, you're going to treat anywhere from 15 to 30% of those cattle. Is just numbers that have come around with years and years of experience.
We'll have more from Montana when we return. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Its arrival is as routine as the truck that brings the next load of calves. You stand ready, waiting, watching for symptoms. A revolutionary new weapon in hand. Unique chemistry and hard-hitting active ingredient. Longer duration in the respiratory tract. Rapid absorption. Join the Zuprevolution. Zuprevo, Tilda Pearson. See your veterinarian.
Hi, I'm Mary Sokup, and I'm honored to be editor for Drover's Cattle Network. From the diversified farm and ranch in northeast Kansas I called home as a child, to the operation I'm involved with today with my husband and his family, I hope it's clear to you that my feet are solidly planted in today's cattle business. Drover's has long been known as America's beef business source, and that's a tradition I'm committed to keeping for years to come.
Well, I think a rancher has to be a steward of the land. There's nobody else that can take care of the land better than a rancher. When we switched over to the Purina products, it was a step in the right direction.
The difference we see in the cattle is the consistency of their nutrition.
The cattle hold their condition a lot better throughout the whole year.
It does make a difference that we can see, day in and day out.
Welcome back. Let's return to Montana and reporter Matt Fleck with more about the Vogel family and their effort to fight BRD.
Because the health status of calves isn't always known, cattle feeders need an effective treatment option for dealing with BRD outbreaks. Zuprevo tildoporosin, a product from Merck Animal Health, is the newest macrolide available for the treatment and control of BRD. Zuprevo can also be used to treat cattle upon arrival to help prevent outbreaks before they occur.
Bactericidal and bacteriostatic are properties of antibiotics that relate to how quickly they kill bacteria. Bacteriostatic means that it slows the growth, and so the animal has a chance to get on top of the infection that way. Bactericidal means that it actually kills the bacteria, and so Zuprevo has both of those properties and just adds to its effectiveness really in being a fast-acting antibiotic and helping get the cattle back on their feet more quickly.
Zuprevo is an antibiotic for rapid and sustained control of BRD. This rapid control helps to get cattle back on feed faster. Those characteristics have made Zuprevo a top choice of cattle feeders.
When we find our BRD cattle, we'll treat them with the Zuprevo, and we send them anymore. I've been sending them right back to their home pen. And first did that this winter. We sent them home, and the next day we'd ride back through, and those cattle, they'd be up at the bunk eating, where the day before they were at the bottom end of the pen, and you could just see a vast improvement in them and seemed to do real well.
Fast identification and treatment is a key to effectively limiting the impact of BRD. After sick cattle are identified and pulled for treatment, Zuprevo goes to work quickly, limiting the spread of pathogens and the damage they can cause.
The important properties of an antibiotic in treating respiratory disease are how quickly they're absorbed, how soon they reach the critical levels where they'll stop bacterial growth, and then how long a duration that they're active for. And so this is a good example where Zuprevo really has a unique spot in the market, in that it has all of those properties. Very quickly absorbed, reaches effective levels in the lung within an hour to 4 hours, and so it really stands alone in that regard.
The ease of use is another important consideration when selecting a product for BRD treatment. Zuprevo, with its simple-to-follow dosing calculation and easy syringeability in nearly all weather conditions, helps producers ensure they're dosing animals properly. This translates into lower costs, reduced labor, and ultimately increased profitability.
Dosing compliance with antibiotics is critical because if we're, say, estimating the body weight of cattle, or we're rounding up the dose volume that's required, then we're tending to either underdose or overdose. Underdosing, of course, is going to give us a lower efficacy, a lower success rate in treatment. Overdosing is expensive, and so we don't want to be on either side of that. So the more accurate we can be in that dosing level, the better it is for animal and owners.
Zuprevo has been well received by animal health professionals across the country. The ease of use and bactericidal action of Zuprevo make it a top choice among feedlot managers.
Zuprevo has been really exciting out in the field. The producers that I've talked to that have used it, both from a treatment perspective as well as a metaphylactis perspective, have actually been very positive. From a treatment perspective, they're actually seeing quicker responses. And then from a metaphylactis perspective, we're actually seeing the product work in a more consistent and a longer time frame, so they're having a lot less repulls out in the feed yard.
Because cattle treated with Zuprevo are spending less time in the sick pen suffering from BRD and more time at the feed bunk, they're helping producers' bottom line. Zuprevo is just one of many animal health solutions offered by Merck Animal Health. Those solutions also extend to technical expertise and a variety of easily accessible resources.
You know, we ride through the cattle every day looking for the respiratories, and when we pull, our first line of defense now is we use the Zuprevo.
Reporting from Vogel Feeders in Ballantine, Montana, I'm Matt Fleck for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Now, for more information on Zaprevo and other available products from Merck Animal Health, visit usa.zaprevo.com, or you can visit our website. That's cattlemen2cattlemen.org. We'll have more right after this.
It's the official monthly publication of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The National Cattleman is produced exclusively for NCBA members and includes coverage of the news and events affecting our industry. From Capitol Hill to the far side of cattle country, the National Cattleman provides information NCBA members need. Every issue includes market analysis, feature stories, and practical management tips. Start receiving your copy of The National Cattleman. Call 866-USA-BEEF or go online to beefusa.org and join today.
Follow Superior Livestock to Tennessee for the annual National Cattlemen's Beef Association Convention and Trade Show. Stop by Superior's booth 1184 to visit with Superior representatives. Sit down and watch a Superior livestock auction on site. And of course, talk the cattle business with folks from coast to coast. Mark it down February 4th through the 7th in Nashville. Superior will see you there.
Hi there, I'm John Conley. Mark your calendar for the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show being held right here in Music City. It's February 4th through the 7th. Come on down to Nashville.
And a carbon man is what I'll be.
Eating beef with breakfast is a nutritious and tasty way to start the day, but it isn't always the easiest thing to prepare when you first wake up in the morning. Shanoa French of the Beef Culinary Innovation Center is with us here today to tell us about a beef recipe that's both easy and tasty to prepare for either breakfast or brunch. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. We're going to talk through a frittata. And a lot of people probably aren't familiar with a frittata.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
It's similar, it fits kind of in the omelet or quiche family. Okay. It's just crustless. So that kind of takes some of the fat component out of it. First thing we're going to talk through, I kind of started a little bit, so for the sake of time, but we've got a non-stick skillet.
All right.
And the most important thing when you're choosing your skillet is choose one that's oven proof. And so if you have a plastic handle or something like that, it's
going to be a problem.
Yeah, because it is going to go into the oven.
Okay.
So go ahead and preheat your oven
to
350 so that gets hot while you do the rest of the stuff.
Okay.
I went ahead and started, the beginning of this recipe calls for 4 new potatoes.
Okay.
And you cut them into quarters or slices, thin enough so that they'll cook.
And again, you have how much zucchini and onion in there?
There's one, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. So cut these up, and you're going to start with them in the pan with water and a lid. Cook them for about 10 minutes. Take them out and hold them aside and drain your water off. And then what we did in here, we threw a pound of ground beef in here. A whole small zucchini sliced, and a half of a yellow onion.
Do we have to put the zucchini in?
You do have to add it. You could do, well, okay, I'll let you choose another vegetable, but you have to choose a vegetable. It could be a red bell pepper or something else. But what most important thing is you want to cook your beef, drain it if you need to. We used a 90% lean, so we're pretty good here. Salt, season it with a little salt and pepper so that it's all done. And this is pretty much, if you wanted to put this in an omelet, that components is all completely done. So once that's all done, then we're going to go ahead and move to your eggs. So this is just 6 large eggs. And put them in here and you whisk them together.
No milk or anything?
No milk or anything, just 6 large eggs. So after you have that, you're going to take some fresh basil, and this gives it a real nice fresh aroma that you'll smell here in a minute. So about 3 tablespoons, and if you like more or less, add it as you will. I always put it in here and stir it a little bit so it gets evenly distributed in here. So I'm going to do a little of this. You can do it with a fork if you want to. And what you're going to do is also add a little bit of salt and pepper. And I'm going to add it in here so that we...
Even though we've already salt and peppered the beef?
The recipe calls you to do a little bit at the beginning to start it, and then a little bit at, when you add it to the egg mixture. It makes sure that everything's thoroughly incorporated in here.
Very good.
So here goes the fun part. Yeah, and a little bit of fresh basil. You're going to go ahead and just pour it over the top. and kind of like make sure that it gets all mixed in, because you want the egg, what it'll do when we put it in the oven is it will, the fat in there kind of fluffs and it'll grow on us.
Gotcha.
A third of a cup of Italian cheeses,
Oh,
a
perfect.
nice white cheese.
I like cheese, or a half a cup, whatever you prefer.
Or if you're doing it at Kevin's house, that's what you get. So now what I'm going to do is this is going to go ahead and go in the oven.
Okay.
And as we talk about the magic of TV.
Wow, look at that.
Here comes one.
A microwavable dish.
And this goes in. We'll get this stuff out of the way for us.
Sure.
We want to go ahead and grab that plate.
Oh, absolutely.
You can either, if you want to serve it as a whole family style, these things will slide directly out on a plate.
Okay.
Or we've cut them and we're just going
cut them already.
to take a piece out of there for you.
Look at that.
So this, as we talk about it, it's a crustless. And it's got the eggs fluff up in there.
Wow.
And you've got ground beef and all your other vegetables. So
well, I've got to try this. About how many people will this serve, Shanoa?
This one will serve 4 to 6, depending on how big of a piece you want for breakfast, how many people are eating, and then we've paired it with some nice berries for antioxidants and some orange juice if you want it.
That's perfect. You know, I'll tell you what, I think of bacon and sausage and ham, but I'll be honest, we don't do a lot of hamburger or beef for breakfast. This is delicious.
Well, and it's that simple way as you think about using it, you can kind of take this to a little bit of a Mexican version if you want to do stewed tomatoes and chilies and a little different cheese too. So it's a great brunch option as Mother's Day and Easter comes around.
Thanks so much for coming again.
Thanks for having me.
To take a look at some of the other great tasting beef and breakfast ideas that include beef, head to our website at cattlemen.org.
Tough trailers built for tough country. Big Ben Trailers manufactures a different kind of trailer, one that's built to put up with the rough conditions found on the ranch. Rugged build using heavy gauge powder coated steel and a 2x4 rectangle tube frame. There's a 1-inch gap between the side and floor, so there's no place for water or manure to accumulate and rust. Big Ben trailers are loaded with standard features: a lever action hitch, a 3-foot escape gate and a middle sorting gate, rhino lining along the front edges, and a receiver hitch to tow another trailer, chute, or other equipment. Tough and practical. That's Big Ben Trailers. Designed and built by a working cattleman, you can rely on and trust Big Ben Trailers for their durability and convenient features. Reasonably priced for any rancher to afford. For a list of dealers and other design features, visit BigBenTrailers.com. Big Ben Trailers, built cattlemen tough. Follow me to Tennessee. Join your fellow cattlemen in Nashville for the 2014 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show. It's the oldest and largest convention for the beef industry, and it's great for education, networking, and fun. Plus, check out the NCBA Trade Show for the latest technology. It's the 2014 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, February 4th through 7th in Nashville. Visit beefusa.org for more.
With the advent of third-party verification, cowmen are able to add value to their calves by preconditioning or early weaning, or seek specialty markets like all natural, sugar-free, or do source and age verification for export. Well, that's what IMI does, and it's not as expensive as you might think. Call them. What do you got to lose? IMI Global's green ear tag. It's like having Honest Abe co-sign your note. IMIGlobal.com.
Let's face it, you don't think a lot about your trailer hitch. You use it and forget it. We understand. But at B&W, we think about it. Short nights, long hauls, never-ending chores. The unthinkable. We think about it all, so you don't have to. B&W. Trusted.
Some farms and ranches treasure the fact that they have spanned several generations. They're celebrated for their fidelity to the land. But I expect, as the years went by, there's been many an argument over the type of cattle that they should be running to keep up with the times. You're not gonna keep her still, are you, Dad? She must be 12 years old. I reckon she's closer to 14 now, and naturally half-polled. You mean she was sired by a hornless bull? No, she just got one horn, which makes her half-polled, or better yet, makes her half-unicorn. She could be half-clam if your logic's right. I mean, clams don't have any teeth. You're changing the subject. We're talking about horns, and one, she wasn't bequeathed. She could be half deer and just shed one of them off while grazing through the wire. And checking this eye, man might conclude that a cyclops was her sire. Oh, and her stumbling skip is like a circus horse, always taking a bow. Son, you're overlooking her greatest trait. Well, she's a gaited cow. Let's see, a half-polled cyclops with teeth like a clam, a gaited cow to boot. Hey, why don't you start a new registered breed? Call it the Rudy Toot. Yeah, half the pink eye, more room at the bunk, and easier to ride. Rudy Toot breeders will flock to your door. Dad, don't you have any pride? You're only looking to find an excuse to keep her on the place. I'll have you know, I make my decisions on cost in every case. And while you were babbling and rattling on trying to vilify, I decided to keep her one more year. And you're the reason why. Because being the practical man that I am, I say, waste not, want not. See, I saw you give her that vitamin A, and I'd hate to waste that shot. This is Baxter Black from out there.
That's a great insight as we try to rebuild this cow herd, Baxter. Thank you much. We'll have more right after this.
Working Ranch magazine understands the challenges and rewards of the American cattle rancher. If it's ranch related, you're going to find it on these pages. Subscribe now by going to workingranchmag.com or give us a shout at 855-894-7415. And come visit us in booth 1277 at the 2014 NCBA Convention and Trade Show in Nashville. Working Ranch, your magazine.
I'm Scott George, president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, inviting you to follow me to Tennessee. We'll be right here in Nashville doing important work, having some fun and fellowship in historic places like the Grand Ole Opry. So make your plans to join us in Nashville February 4th through the 7th, 2014. We'll see you there.
Hi there, I'm Joey.
And I'm Rory, and welcome to our farm outside Nashville, Tennessee. When we go to work, whether it's on tour or here at home, we wear the West.
That's right. Whether it's that perfect snap shirt or that perfect pair of boots, when you wear Roper, you wear the West.
Learn more about us, Joey and Rory, and about Roper Western Wear at eroper.com.
Telling the truth and being real and feeding my family a home-cooked meal, that's important to me. That's important to me. And planting the garden and watching it grow.
If you've never been to the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, why not put it on your calendar? It's not too late. And in the NCBA Trade Show, there are more than 300 exhibitors spread across nearly 6 acres of exhibits, all focused on the cattle business. We asked cattlemen to tell us what they like about the NCBA Trade Show.
The NCBA Trade Show is fabulous. It is a place where one can spend time during the convention and you can get information that you can take back to your ranch for almost every input item you use, every supply you need. you get the information you need, you can make decisions, you can understand what will help your operation be more efficient, and it's all right there in the context of the Cattle Industry Convention.
First time I went, I couldn't believe how big and the magnitude of it. So, I mean, you go there and you can kind of see what's new, no matter if it's equipment or drugs from the pharmaceutical companies, or it's just like an eye-opener. It's awesome.
This year, the trade show is open on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, February 4th through the 7th. Don't miss the 2014 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show in Nashville. You can register in person, on site, and there are single-day passes available as well. Find out all you need to know before you go by visiting beefusa.org. Time now for this week's legacy photos submitted by ranching families from around the country. Let's have a look. You can send us your own legacy photos by visiting our website, cattlemen@cattlemen.org. Include your ranch or farm name and hometown, and we may use them on a future episode. Next week on NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll give you an inside look at the one and only Opryland Hotel. Learn what it's like to be raising cattle in Tennessee, and see why they call Nashville Music City with a visit to the Grand Ole Opry and more. Don't miss our big Nashville Convention preview show next week. Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.